The movie opens with a 12-year-old ballet dancer named Abigail rehearsing alone in a theater. Outside, we see a group of 6 criminals who are planning to kidnap her. Abigail then gets into a car with her driver and heads home after her practice. Before she arrives at her house, a hacker successfully hacks the security system, allowing 3 people to enter through the front door. Shortly after, Abigail arrives home and tries to rest in her room, but the kidnappers suddenly show up and sedate her, rendering her unconscious. They then carry her outside and haul her into their van. Soon enough, the group arrives at an old mansion where their mastermind, Lambert, welcomes them. Abigail is taken to a room, unconscious, where she's handcuffed and tied to the bed. We then meet the kidnapping crew, which consists of 6 members, named Frank, the supposed leader, who drops a record number of F-bombs and not sure if it works, Joey, a former medic, Dean, the getaway driver, Peter, the muscle man, Sammy, the hacker, and Rickles, the sniper. However, these are not their actual names, but rather code names assigned by Lambert. He asks them not to reveal their real names or backgrounds, as the operation is only for 24 hours. He also confiscates their phones to make sure the operation is confidential. After this, Lambert informs the group that the hardest part is over, and now they just need to watch over the girl. When Joey inquires about Abigail's father, Lambert reveals that he's a very wealthy man who's about to be $50 million poorer. He assures them that after the ransom is paid, each member will receive $7 million and can go their separate ways. Lambert then says that he will see them after 24 hours and leaves the mansion. Later, they all start drinking, except Joey, who claims she needs to be with her son soon. Dean then begins guessing everyone's backstories, but Joey interrupts and says that he has it all wrong. The others then bet money on whether she can correctly guess their stories. Joey correctly deduces that Frank was a cop, Peter was a mob enforcer for the Quebec Mafia, and Sammy is from a wealthy family who engages in criminal activity for fun. In response, Frank also correctly points out that Joey is a former junkie. Frank himself is a former douchebag. Still a douchebag, but he used to be one too. Hearing this, Joey gets a bit nervous and goes to check on Abigail, who is awake and very distressed. She puts on a mask and carefully removes the blindfold from the girl. Abigail mentions that her hands hurt, so Joey loosens her cuffs as well. They begin talking, and Joey shares that she has a son who is the same age as her. The little girl is terrified and believes she might die, but Joey reassures her that as long as she behaves and her dad pays the ransom, she'll be safe. She even pinky promises Abigail that she won't let anyone hurt her. However, the little girl remarks that this whole operation is pointless because her dad doesn't care about her. She also apologizes to Joey for what is about to happen to her. Hearing this, Joey is spooked, and she goes downstairs to meet Frank. She informs him that the girl implied her father is violent and asks if he knows who he is. Frank claims he has no idea and heads to see Abigail himself. He was unaware that her blindfold had been removed, so he panics. He then threatens her with a gun and asks if she saw his face. Abigail replies that she hasn't, but Frank does not believe her. He presses her to reveal her father's name, and she finally says the name Christophe Lazar. Shocked, Frank goes downstairs and asserts that he's leaving. The others are confused, so he explains that the girl they just kidnapped is the daughter of Christophe Lazar, a notorious underworld criminal figure. Everyone starts panicking, and Joey suggests that they simply make an anonymous phone call and leave, but Frank is concerned because Abigail has already seen his face and can recognize him. He suggests murdering her, but Joey refuses and reminds the group of the $7 million reward. As a result, they decide to continue the operation. After some time, Dean begins exploring the house and finds himself in a dark room. On the wall, there are several vintage pictures, and one of the girls in them looks a lot like Abigail. He continues exploring and heads to the basement, where a door abruptly opens by itself. He gets scared and tries to flee, but an unseen force pulls him inside. Just then, Sammy hears his screams and rushes to investigate. She soon finds Dean dead, with his head severed from his body. She starts screaming and immediately calls the others, who are also horrified by the scene. In the aftermath of this incident, Joey mentions Lazar's infamous hitman, Valdez, who is known for decapitating his victims. It turns out that the FBI apprehended 3 top members of Lazar's gang in New York many years ago. They were kept safe in a hotel before their trial, with security guards stationed around every corner. The next morning, the FBI shockingly discovered all 3 dead. Their heads heads severed and their organs missing. Surprisingly, the room was only accessible via a door and a window on the 23rd floor. Freaked out, the group rushes to check on Abigail, who's still in the room. Rickles is disturbed by the events and decides to depart. However, when he attempts to exit through the front door, he discovers another barred door in front of it. He and the other members make every effort to break through it, but to no avail. To make matters worse, their actions trigger a security system that closes all of the windows and doors, trapping them inside. Later, Joey goes to meet Abigail and asks if anyone visited her except the man with the glasses, meaning Frank. The girl initially denies this, but later claims that the man in glasses will harm her if she reveals the secret. She then lies that the man works for her father, and his name is Valdez. Hearing this, Joey heads to confront Frank, but she suddenly hears a noise. She turns back and notices Rickles standing strangely. She approaches him, but is horrified to see that he has been brutally injured. Before Rickles can say anything, he passes away and collapses on her. In the next scene, Joey gathers the group again and accuses Frank of being Valdez. She reveals what Abigail told her earlier and asserts that he killed the two people. Frank responds that this isn't true and that the girl is just trying to manipulate her to turn against each other. He decides that he's had enough and orders Peter to kill the girl. The latter obliges and proceeds to shoot Abigail, but Joey stops him in the nick of time. The others also arrive and they get into an argument about whether they should kill the girl or not. During this time, Sammy notices Abigail easily removing her handcuffs. She tries to warn the others, but Abigail suddenly transforms into a vampire and attacks Peter. Frank then shoots her in the face, and for a moment, it seems that she dead. But seconds later, Abigail rises again and begins attacking all of them. Eventually, the group manages to flee and locks her inside the room. At this moment, they realize that the stories about Valdez's impossible assassinations are true because Abigail is Valdez and she is a vampire. They start trying to figure out how to deal with her and consider using the basic tropes, such as garlic, cloves, crosses, silver bullets, and stakes. Sammy goes and grabs some onions, thinking they're garlic. She says it's because she's not a chef, but the truth is, it's because she doesn't have a brain. After this, everyone except Joey goes to confront Abigail, but she is casually dancing with Dean's corpse. Sammy then attacks her with garlic, but Abigail easily subdues her. Then she throws Peter to the ground and hits his chest with his own cross, making him bleed. Meanwhile, Frank attempts to stab her with a wooden stake, but she disarms him and stabs his leg instead. He says the F word many more times. Feeling defeated, the trio heads downstairs, where Joey tends to their wounds. She suggests that while Abigail may seem nearly indestructible, there's still hope. She recalls how the tranquilizer injection worked on her when she was abducted from her home. Therefore, she proposes a plan to capture Abigail once again and administer the drug. Following this, the four of them split up and begin looking for Abigail. Peter is the first one to be attacked, so he flees and locks her in a room, but the vampire easily breaks the door and chases after him while doing ballet and shit. Abigail then comes across Frank and attempts to choke him to death. When Sammy tries to intervene, she bites one of her arms. Eventually, Peter jumps on her, pinning her to the ground while Joey injects her. This causes Abigail to quickly lose consciousness. When she wakes up, she finds herself confined in an iron cage. Abigail then reveals to the group that Lambert, who hired all of them, works for her father. She explains that he has planned the whole kidnapping thing just for fun, and she is going to kill them all. Following this, Abigail proceeds to reveal the true identities of each member of the room. She reveals that Sammy's real name is Jessica, a hacker who once stole from one of Lazar's subsidiaries. Peter's real name is Terrence, and he was part of a mob gang that stole from Lazar's business. Frank's name is Adam Barnett, a detective who worked undercover and apprehended Lazar's gang members in New York. Finally, there's Joey, whose real name is Ana Lucia. She was a field medic who destroyed her career after becoming addicted to morphine. Abigail mentions that Joey began working as an underground medic until she nicked the artery of an important man in Lazar's group while under the influence. And that guy who died earlier, Dean, his actual name was Shaggy, and he once did a bong rip and blew it in one of Lazar's guys' faces. She then reveals that she brought everyone together to seek revenge on behalf of her father. She also offers to spare the lives of anyone who helps free her. Hearing this, Peter attempts to free her, but Joey shoots him. She then takes him for treatment apartment and asks Frank to keep an eye on Abigail. Once alone, the vampire girl tries to manipulate Frank into opening the door, but he doesn't budge. As a result, she herself breaks open the door and begins attacking him. Turns out she was just pretending to be confined so she could mess around with the group. Abigail then proceeds to kill Frank, but before she can do so, Joey arrives and breaks one of the window shields. This allows sunlight to enter the room, and Abigail's hand is badly burnt by it. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Frank and Joey run down to the library with the others. They notice that the sunlight is coming from a specific window and realize that they're safe there until dawn. Afterward, Sammy suggests that there must be a power source inside the house. If they can get a hold of that, she can easily destroy it, which will result in the shields being removed. Frank then says, "So what, are you gonna unplug the fucking house?" Which is a great line. The group likes her idea, and they split up into pairs to search for the power source. Moments later, Abigail plays music again and takes control of Sammy, who was bitten earlier. Sammy instantly transforms into a vampire and attacks Peter. After killing him brutally, she begins ballet dancing under Abigail's control. She is very good at doing vampire ballet. Shortly after, Joey and Frank arrive at the scene and notice that Sammy is behaving strangely. She tells them that Peter is dead and begins laughing strangely. Seeing this, the other two start running away, while Sammy chases after them. They soon arrive at the library room and seek shelter in the sunlight. Sammy tries to come after them, but Joey shines light on her through a mirror, causing her entire body to explode into pieces. This movie used all the fake blood in all of Ireland, and I believe it. Just then, a secret bookshelf doorway swings open, and Joey and Frank enter inside. They soon come across a control room where Lambert has been monitoring them since the very start. They try to attack him, but he easily subdues them, as he is also a vampire. At this intense moment, Lambert finally discloses the entire truth. He reveals that Abigail turned him into a vampire 2 years ago. Since then, she has forced him to lure her father's enemies here regularly. Despite gaining immortality and superhuman abilities, Lambert is fed up with taking orders from Abigail and her father. He then presents Frank with an offer to become a vampire himself and help to take control of Lazar's empire. Hearing this, Frank gets excited and immediately accepts the offer. Lambert then tosses Joey aside and starts biting Frank's neck. He also willingly allows him to drink his vampire blood to increase his strength. Once Frank's transformation is complete, Lambert asks him to kill Joey as his first victim. However, he double-crosses Lambert and drives a stake through his heart, killing him instantly. More blood, more F-bombs, and Dan Stevens cuts the coolest vampire pose I've seen in a long time. After this, Frank shifts his attention to Joey and tries to kill her, but Abigail arrives at the same time and engages him in a fight. With his newfound strength, Frank easily overpowers her and drinks her blood. This makes her very weak, and she collapses to the ground. Meanwhile, Joey rushes to the control panel and deactivates the security measures. She tries to escape the mansion, but finds the exit blocked, leaving her frustrated. Shortly after, Frank corners her and begins tossing her around like a sack of potatoes. He wants to turn her into a vampire that he can control. At one point, Abigail approaches Joey and claims that she is too weak to defeat him alone. Since he is becoming increasingly destructive, the girls decide to team up and put an end to Frank by fighting together. But even with their combined efforts, they cannot manage to hurt him. He instead grabs Joey and ends up biting her. Frank now thinks that Joey will do whatever he orders her to do. So he hands her a stake and commands her to kill Abigail. Joey pretends to move towards the little girl, but she soon turns around and attacks him instead. Abigail also joins her, and after an intense fight, they manage to subdue him. They then thrust a stake into Frank's heart until his entire body explodes. More blood, no more F-bombs. In the aftermath, Abigail thanks Joey and informs her that she's now freed from the vampire's curse since Frank is dead. This relieves Joey, and she prepares to leave, but just then, she is confronted by Abigail's father, Christophe Lazar. He tries to kill her for kidnapping his daughter, but Abigail stops him. She explains that Joey saved her life today and pleads with him not to harm her. Hearing this, Lazar feels grateful and decides to let her leave. The movie then concludes as we see Joey escaping the mansion, drenched in blood. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.